My boyfriend gave up his dream of having kids to be with me, but now I see how much he still wants to be a dad, and I'm scared I might have to end things. My 30F boyfriend, 34M, and I have been together for the last 4 years. Our first date was basically our whole life stories and just talking about everything and anything, whether it be deep or not. I would say most of our relationship has been this way. Even when we fight, which has maybe happened a couple of times, we will take a break and regroup once emotions settle. When we disagree, we talk it through. He looks at me like I'm the most beautiful person he's ever seen. He constantly tells me how lucky he is to have me and how I deserve the world. We both love to cook and clean for the other person, so we always have different games set up and the loser gets to relax while the winner gets to pamper the loser. I know it sounds weird, but it works for us. I love this man so much and I know he loves me just as much. Now here's the problem. A couple months into us dating, kids got brought up. Communication is super important to me, and him, so I told him I didn't want kids. He thought I was joking because all my friends and siblings have kids at this point and I'm the fun tia, auntie. I even put together parties for the kids and fun themed days when I'm having one-on-one time with them. I do love kids, but I don't want any of my own. I explained that and he said, well, maybe you haven't met the right guy. I had to sit him down and explain that while I do believe people can change, he cannot be with me expecting my opinion about kids to change. He needs to take my not wanting kids at face value instead of hoping that I will change my mind, because what if I don't change my mind? I asked him to think it through for a week or two and then we can circle back to the topic, because at this point we are thinking about being official. But if kids were that important to him, then we needed to stop now before it gets much harder down the line. He told me later that kids are not that important to him and that he can see a future without kids in it. Fast forward to a month ago. His parents and some extended family were visiting for my boyfriend's brother's wedding. We are in the US and his family is from Eastern Europe. I've always gotten along with his parents and his brother's now wife. His parents will visit a couple times a year and have always been so kind and thoughtful. At the wedding reception, I was being introduced to all of the family. Eventually someone asked when my boyfriend and I were getting married, and my boyfriend just winked at the question because he knew I already knew that he was planning to propose soon. He just asked way too many ring-related questions since he knows I hate diamonds but wasn't sure the direction he should go, and since I barely wear rings, he could propose to me with a ring pop for all I care. Later at one point, one of his cousins asked how I would feel about my future kid learning their native language, to which I responded, oh, I don't want kids, but I'm actually learning the language myself. There were a few members of the family around, including my boyfriend's parents, no boyfriend though, and they all gave me the what the hell are you saying look. I didn't understand why I was getting that look, so I just awkwardly laughed and asked everyone not to tell my boyfriend I was learning the language because I wanted to surprise him. I thought it would be cute to respond to his proposal in his native language. I went looking for my boyfriend and found his brother and the bride instead. We were talking and eventually I asked, hey, is it weird in your culture to not have kids? Because I got weird looks from your parents when I said I don't want kids. His brother proceeds to tell me that it's not weird but that my boyfriend has always wanted to have kids, so it probably shocked their parents to hear that I didn't want kids. Apparently my boyfriend always wanted at least 3 kids and he had always been super excited about the idea of having kids. I think his brother noticed the look on my face and backtracked a bit, saying something like, wait, damn, it's not a big deal. He changed his mind because he loves you more than the idea of having kids. On the ride back home with my boyfriend, I asked my boyfriend if he really is okay about not having kids. He sighed because apparently he had heard from his parents about what I said. He apologized about it and said that he did stop talking about kids since we have been together, but that his parents always assumed we would have kids. He also sometimes wonders if I will change my mind, but he doesn't think I ever will. He said that when we talked about this while we were dating, he could imagine a future without kids because he couldn't imagine a future without me. It's been a month since the wedding, but I've started to notice little things with my boyfriend. A lot of our friends have kids and I am always letting my friends know that they can bring their kids over instead of having to find a babysitter. I've noticed that my boyfriend looks slightly envious when he sees our friends interact with their kids. Or sometimes I see him look slightly dejected when he sees a family with a bunch of kids. Maybe this is in my head now that I know that he's always wanted to be a dad until he met me. Maybe it's not in my head. I truly want him to be happy, but I know I don't want to be a mom. I wish I felt different and I wish I could compromise this for him, but I would never want to bring kids into this world knowing I don't want them. That's not fair to the kid. And if him being happy means he finds someone else to have kids with, I will have to live with that. He knows something is wrong because he said I feel far away lately. I think he knows why. I know I have to sit down with him and fully talk this out. Part of me feels like this conversation will lead to us breaking up because he really truly does want kids. I'm also worried that if he stays with me, he might resent me for not wanting kids like him. I just feel terrible. First update, 2 days after my original post, my boyfriend and I sat down to talk finally. As I suspected, he knew exactly what had been bugging me, but he didn't want to push me to have the conversation before I was ready. He started it off with why he is okay with not having kids. He grew up with his parents and brother. He saw the joy that his parents got from raising the two of them, but he also saw how unhappy they were in their marriage. Yes, they are still together, but they are more like co-parents or roommates than an actual couple. My boyfriend was very cynical when it came to relationships growing up because he felt like he never saw enough happy couples. His parents weren't happy. His friends were in and out of relationships. He was in and out of relationships. In his head, kids would bring him and his partner happiness and purpose in a relationship. Yes, he admitted to the absolute insanity that was his thinking, but when we started dating, he realized this and started going to therapy to help him work these feelings out. He's been in therapy ever since. He said when he met me, I changed everything for him and that he knew on our second date that he was going to marry me. So when months later I mentioned I didn't want kids, he was disappointed, but the main reason was because the idea of having little versions of me running around was something he had thought about for the months we were dating. And yes, he meant it when he said that he could see a future without kids but couldn't see a future without me. It's why he had been super supportive about me looking into surgeries to prevent kids being a possibility for me. It's why he never even brings up the possibility of either one of us changing our minds. I asked if he was jealous of our friends with kids and he laughed. He said that when he sees a family or sees our friends with their kids, he can see that the relationship between a parent and child is special, but the freedom that we have in our relationship along with the extra funds we have for ourselves far outweigh his past feelings about being a dad. He said that I was his family and if I didn't want to increase the size of our family that he has no problems with that because he's already so happy. He finally found the love of his life, which he never thought would happen, so he doesn't want to mess with something that is perfect. He just never brought it up with his family and was slightly concerned that they would try to pressure us. Kids are a big thing in his family. His brother already knew and obviously had no problems with it. He said he had a talk with his parents and the relatives he was closest to about it. His parents are not exactly happy, but my boyfriend admitted to me that he lied to them and said he was the one who didn't want kids first. He just wasn't sure what their reaction would be and didn't want me to deal with any negative backlash. He said if I ever feel pressured about anything ever, whether it be by him or his family or even my family, to let him know because we are partners and we work through these things together. He isn't afraid of going no contact with anyone who makes a big deal about something that isn't any of their business. I told him that my main concern was that he was putting my happiness over his because he has a tendency to do that with people he loves. And I didn't want him to regret anything later down the line. He said he understood my concern but that he swore up and down that these 4 years have been the happiest of his life. And the fact that I was so stressed about whether he was happy or not is further proof that we are meant for each other because I also have a tendency to put his happiness over my own lol. He then proposed to me with the original ring he bought the first year we were together. I didn't even know he had bought a ring before. He said he would have done it that first year, but I had made a comment that I wanted to wait at least 3 years before getting engaged, and now he is making significantly more money, so he has been looking to go all out on a new ring. But I really love the ring he originally bought. It isn't big or flashy, but it is a very unique design that is subtle and beautiful. The color is also the same color as my boyfriend's eyes and I'm always gushing about them. He has the kindest eyes. So I told him there's no point in looking for another ring because this one was already perfect. OP a few months later, I feel like I'm going to crack. My fiancé and I recently got engaged not too long ago. While we were making plans, deciding on rings and so on, the proposal was very spontaneous and happened months before my fiancé had originally planned. I also originally planned to accept his proposal in his native language. However, due to events that led up to the proposal, I forgot. So I decided I would just keep taking classes, plus his brother or brother's wife will only converse with me in Polish when my fiancé isn't around. Then I would surprise my fiancé by giving my vows in Polish. The problem? My fiancé doesn't know I now understand a lot of the conversations he's having with his family and some of his friends because I have to pretend I don't understand. This has been going on for months even before he proposed. I feel like I'm invading his privacy. Abuse now I know. He has been planning to surprise me with his originally planned proposal, but now it's just an over-the-top engagement party. He once told his mom he missed her sauerkraut soup, so, for the almost 5 years we have been together, I make this dish a handful of times a year during fall and winter for him. I had called his mom up for the specific recipe too. Turns out he has always hated it, but it reminds him of home and his mom and sees how happy I get to make this for him. So he just eats it. Like I make a big pot only for him to eat and I don't like sauerkraut. Now it makes sense why he always sends half of it to his brother and sister-in-law, who lives walking distance from us. He has been hiding my favorite candies around the house. For the last 2 years. I will find my favorite candies in places I was surprised to find them in. Like a random drawer here. On a shelf there. Like I get so happy and will run to him in my excitement about these random candies I must have forgotten about. Nope, he just buys bags of them and will place them in spots randomly. He just loves how excited I get. I caught him telling his brother when his brother found one of them going through one of our kitchen drawers. His brother thought the whole situation was hilarious because he's in on the fact that I understood the whole exchange. He has my period in his calendar so that he can be extra mindful, plus get me my favorite things during the week to help keep my mood up. He has always known that I lied about being a morning person. I said that when we first started dating because he always went to the gym in the morning it would invite me to go with him. 4 or 5 years later, we still go to the gym together and, while getting up at 5 a.m. is still a pain for me, it's worth spending that extra time with him especially since we are both busy people. Turns out if I fall asleep before him, he has trouble sleeping. I snore. I have tried everything. He has never once complained to me about it, but I still use nasal strips and have a special pillow that I thought helped. However, apparently if I fall asleep after him, he can just sleep through it because he's a heavy sleeper. So now I make it a point to sleep after him. He hasn't caught on yet, I think. The last thing is something that he has told anyone who will listen. His parents, his uncles, his aunts, his brother, his brother's wife, his friends in Poland, anyone and everyone who speaks Polish. If I'm in the room and he's on the phone with them, he will always look at me with a crazy big smile and tell them that he cannot wait to marry me. Ugh. I love the man so much. I don't think I can keep this charade up for a year. We are planning for a 2024 wedding. I am not good at pretending. I can't keep hiding my face or running out of the room when he is talking to family and friends. And my birthday will be coming up in a few months, so I know he will be planning something and probably think it's safe to talk about it with some people in Polish. I'm going to crack soon. I can feel it. Update: a few weeks later, I did end up cracking. My fiancé threw that surprise engagement party for us, that I found out about since I've been learning his native language. It was beautiful and sweet, and he flew his family and my family out to be there as well. We did a toast during the dinner portion of the party, and I decided to do my portion of the toast in Polish, as suggested by a comment on my last post. I explained in my toast I wanted my learning Polish to be a surprise for the proposal, but since that didn't work out, I wanted it to be a surprise for my wedding vows. However, I didn't count on the fact that I would be unintentionally eavesdropping on his conversations, and what was supposed to be a surprise engagement party for me was spoiled by me. I also went on to talk about the sweet things I found out through my eavesdropping, excluding the bit about the sauerkraut soup because his mom was there, and I will take that to my grave, haha, and how it only further proved to me that I made the right choice by saying yes to his proposal. And that while I don't think anyone is ever really perfect, I do know that he is perfect for me. My Polish wasn't perfect, and thankfully my future brother-in-law translated everything to my side of the family. I asked him to early on. Now here comes the absolute shock of the year. I don't know if I mentioned this in any of my posts because there was no reason to at the time, but I am mixed, Black and Latina. So a big chunk of my family speaks Spanish, myself included. Granted, I usually do speak English with my family and not often Spanish, but my maternal grandparents, who were at the engagement party, do only speak Spanish. I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going with this. After I was done with my toast, I looked over at my fiancé, who had tears in his eyes, and he freaking responded to my toast in Spanish. Turns out he was learning Spanish for the last year and wanted to surprise me on our wedding day. While I don't speak Spanish as often as he speaks Polish, so no secrets were spoiled on my end, he wanted me to know that he embraced every part of my life, and just wanted to prove that to me by learning Spanish. There were a lot of laughs and tears shed, and both our families made it a point to learn simple phrases in the other's language, so that was really cute to see. All in all, I'm still planning to do my vows in Polish, and he plans to do his vows in Spanish and English, since half my family also only speaks English, haha. I'm happy I'm not eavesdropping anymore because I did not enjoy invading his privacy despite the sweet things I did end up learning. So that's that. I'm just very excited to spend the rest of my life with this man.